Ads, big news this morning is obviously Kalen not getting picked for Queensland. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Kalen and Dane, Gagai. Look, I don't pick the Queensland team. They must have their reasons, and I'm sure that that's probably been communicated to both Kalen and Dane. So that's Billy's prerogative. So I won't comment too much about that. I'll be really honest. I'm happy that we've got him for this week.
So there wasn't consultation with you, for example, about how they're going or anything like that?
No, none. Not from either the Blues or the Queensland team. No.
And what about the Blues? What were your thoughts on Tyson obviously getting selected, but none of your other boys getting selected?
Yeah, I feel for Daniel. I don't think Daniel's played a bad Origin. Every time he's put the jersey on, he's really contributed. I thought he's played really well in that arena, and I thought Jake done the same thing when he went in last year. He had an immediate impact when he got on the field. So I really feel for the two Safs. I felt like New South Wales could have used them. Again, I don't want to comment. Like, it's up to Freddie, the team he picks, but. Really happy for Frizz. I think his form has been outstanding for us this year. I think I've said publicly that I think it's the best, batch of footy that he's put together for the night. So I'm really pleased for him. But yeah, I can't help but disappointed for both Kale and Dane and the two Saf boys. I always want them to play, fulfil their dreams and play at the highest level. But there is another part of me that's fist pumping that I've got them in the team for this week.
So those four guys, is that something where you speak to them and you talk to them about missing out and I guess, changing the mindset because they might have thought they would have been playing Origin?
Yeah, look, we had a leadership meeting this morning. We started our week with a leadership meeting, and those guys are in that, and they've been great. They understand it, and I think they're really committed to just doing today's review on the back of our performance against the Sharks. They want to get that right, and they want to lead the training sessions in preparation for Manly. So. There was no signs of anyone kicking stones. They'd naturally be disappointed because they're competitors and they want to compete at the highest level, but they've been great this morning.
And I guess you do have a really hard stretch of games now, so it's probably an ultimately great time to have them all on board.
Yeah, well, we won't look any further than Manly this week. We need to make sure that we get that right, and things can certainly change too in the Origin arena around for the second game. Just because the first one's picked doesn't mean that those guys can't get themselves in. So I'm sure that's in the back of their mind. But look, all we're focused on right now is putting in a really good performance against Manly over here on Sunday.
What do you feel like the bounce back has to be from that game on the weekend? What were you lacking and what do you have to improve?
Yeah, I don't think we've been guilty of lack of effort. I don't think effort's been has been our problem at all, and I'd say the same for that game. Upon reflection and watching the game back, there's a lot of ball in play. There's a lot of errors from both teams, but there was a lot of ball in play, so it was actually a harder contest than probably what it looked like on TV. So I thought we put a ton of effort in at times. We definitely need some attention to detail around discipline and just being really clinical in periods. I thought that they got their tries on the back of us not, lacking some attention to detail, which led to some, they were fighting a little bit on the field, and so we need to just jump on all of that stuff.
Any injury concerns? Anybody in or out for this week that you're thinking?
No, I don't have any injury concerns. I think Kurt Mann's tracking well. I'd seen him do some stuff this morning. Lockie Fitzgibbon had a lower, like a calf injury that he actually succumbed to in the game on the weekend, but all reports from the physio, he's tracking along okay as well. So hopefully we can keep the same squad out there for 3 weeks in a row, which will only help with the stuff that I just mentioned.
Off the back of that, Phoenix Crossland, did he sort of got a hit to the face?
Yeah, he's just wrecked the good looks department for the week. I think he'll be okay.
To the guys that missed out on Origin and now you have available, are you expecting potentially a bounce back factor from them and maybe a hand up? Here we are for selection again in Origin 2-3.
Yeah, I think naturally you will get that. That's not what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we want to, play well for the Knights and try and rectify a couple of things from the Sharks game, which I'm sure we will. But there's no doubt that we'll get some natural spin-off from the disappointment of not being selected.
Tyson getting the nod, and there were reports over the weekend there'd been some interest from elsewhere, I suppose from your end. The form that he's shown this year and wanting him potentially to stay here in Newcastle beyond the end of his contract?
100%, yep. beyond the end of the contract and beyond the end of his career. I think he's got a long-term future at the club as well. And that's been, Tyson's aware of it, that we want him to stay. I know the club's putting together something to put towards him. And naturally there'll be other clubs, given the form and his selection in Origin, naturally there'll be other clubs that would be craving a player like Tyson and his leadership. So yeah, the club wants to keep him, definitely.
What sort of impact do you think he can make for the Blues in Origin 1?
Been there and done it before. Just the way Friz prepares himself for games, has Origin written all over it. He's a warrior. That's what he does all week, regardless of how his body is at the time. And at the moment, he's 100%. But regardless of how he's feeling, he gets himself ready for battle and that type of arena every week. So he'll be fine.
I think one of the terms you used out of the weekend was second gear and not getting out. What's the switch, I suppose, if there is any, this week to get into that top gear against Manly?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I probably do stand by watching it on the tape. And they're a good team. I consider the Sharks top 3 team. They're a very good footy team, and they've got the ability to hit the go button, and they did that. And sometimes we held on. As I said, there's a lot of ball in play. A lot of arm wrestles where we really hung in, but ultimately it took its toll in the end through us being a little bit ill-disciplined and lacking some attention to detail. Ended up sapping the energy, so we couldn't go that next year. I think hopefully that clarifies it.
Manly next up,
Yep.
Minus Trebojevic ×2 and DCE.
Yep.
Still a tough opponent.
Absolutely, yeah. Always good contest between the two sides. It was that out at Mudgee, and I think we'd be foolish to expect anything different just because they're missing some personnel. I know that they'll come up with a point to prove to play well without their guys, and we won't fall into that trap.
What do you, if anything, take away from that Mudgee trip and the performance and result against Manly last time into this one?
Yeah, I guess you take belief that if it takes up to 90 minutes, we can hang in there with them. There was periods of that game that I thought we didn't handle well. They got a lot of tries on last play on us. I think there was 4 tries on our last. So done a hell of a job for the 5 plays leading into it. So we need to make sure that we stay alive for the full set. But I think that it was a while ago now. We're just probably more focused on what we do on Sunday now.